Welcome, everyone. It's Bible study time. Yay! Always excited about coming for y'all. Today is absolutely no different. Today we're trudging along, y'all. We are moving through. We are going to speak to the David and Goliath story today. Yes, we are. We're going to be reading out of 1 Samuel. I'm going to be reading from chapter 17. But before I begin, I'm going to go ahead and invoke the Spirit of God to assist me in the discernment of God's word, and we will begin. Heavenly Father, I come before you looking for you. Use me as your vessel today and always to convey your truths to the children. Lessen me and magnify you. Remove all energies in this space that are not conducive to your highest and your greatest good in this space. In love, I come before you, looking for you and awaiting for your presence. Have your way in this space. I love you and I thank you. And in God's name I pray, amen. All right, y'all. Okay, so it's been a long day. And I'm just trying to do what I honor my commitment. So here I am. So we're going to be reading out of 1 Samuel today, chapter 17. I'm going to read from several verses, y'all, okay? 17, 18, 23 to 25, 28, and 37 through 40, okay? We're going to read a little bit, but it's worth it because I want you to understand what's going on, okay? This is the David and Goliath story, and it's going to be a little twist to it that most people don't talk about, but that is very relevant to the story. So I'm going to have a lot of reading for you to get a full understanding of what's going on, only because everyone is not privy to the fullness of the story. So chapter 17, verse 17. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren. And carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. He's saying, go and check on your brothers, give them this food, and see if there's anything else that they need. Verse 23. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words, and David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. Verse 28. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the man, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left these few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. Verse 37. Verse 33. And Saul said to David, Thou art not able to go fight against this Philistine, to fight with him. For thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. David said, Moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he shall deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, Go, and the Lord be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put on a helmet of brass upon his head, and he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go. And he had not proved it. And he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. He's reluctant to go because he doesn't know, he hasn't used all of this stuff Saul is giving him. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off of him. And he took his staff in his hand and chose 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near the Philistine. All right, y'all. So lots of reading, but you get the gist of what's going on. They're about to go to battle. David has come into a situation that's already at hand, has nothing to do with David. He walks into it honoring the word of his father. He wasn't even invited to the battle. They didn't think that he was worthy to even go. Or did they? Did they think he was worthy, but out of jealousy, they just didn't want him to show up? They wanted to ostracize him, as they always did, never include him on things because he was worthy. And they thinking that them ostracizing him and not including him on battles and things that would really show his worth is harming him or hurting his feelings, when in fact he don't care. He could care less. He would rather be with his sheep. Only reason he shows up is because his dad tells him to. And because he's still living in his father's house, he does what his dad tells him to do. Nonetheless, what we're finding here is this Goliath character that we hear so much about. This giant of the Philistines is in the valley of Elah, cutting up. He is proud. He feels as if there's no way these people will defeat him. What we're seeing here with the David and Goliath story is a reflection of what happened with Barak, Deborah, and Sisera. We're seeing new levels of technology rolling out. We're seeing a new wave, a new age come into place where they are now able to contend against champions that they never were able to contend against before. The underdog, the one that was never able to contend in the previous age, and that could never really make a name for himself in the previous age, is now able to make a name for themselves through technology. And they're moving in a way where they are trying to dominate, keep a foot on the neck of those that were able to compete, that would naturally be able to dominate without technology, the way that God established it. We see this with Sisera and the chariots, using natural things in a creative way that the children of Israel, the Hebrews, knew nothing of, giving them an advantage. We see this here with Goliath also. What we find in chapter 17 is a story of exactly who this Goliath character is, and I'm going to read it to you. Verse 4. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span, And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders, and the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam. Keep that in mind. And his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron. And one bearing a shield went before him. Keep that in mind as well. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, why are you come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you to let him come down to me. This Goliath, the reason why the Bible is speaking to all of the regality, if you want to call it that Goliath is displaying, is for a purpose. They're not just telling you that he dressed up for the affair and that he has all of this armor on for just aesthetical purposes. They are painting a picture to someone that understands what this means. You see, when we look in ancient times, we see all of these warriors that had, these silver outfits on that made them walk like robots. They got the metal armory on. They got the head and the body armor, the legs. Everything is covered with metal, even the fingers and the hands. And one way of looking at it is that they were doing this for precautionary purposes, safety protocols, so that if they got hit with any type of weaponry, it would be absorbed by the metal. It would protect the skin. And in one instance, I guess you could say that that's true. But that was not the full purpose of that armory. What these people were doing is tapping into what many would call free energy. You see, all of this Wi-Fi and free energy stuff that we think that we're so new to and that we're the greatest to partake of is actually very old. Ain't nothing new. It's new to you because you don't know the story, the real, true story of it. It's new to you because it's been reintroduced to you in a new timeline. Just like God allowed the children of Israel to wander 40 years in the wilderness so that generations would come and go and they will be purged of knowledge, of sin, of different types of behavior patterns. It's the same way with these rollouts. What we're looking at with Goliath is technology. This beaver's wing, this pointed beam, this sword, this individual that goes before him, all of this has to do with wielding electricity, energy. Like you see in the Harry Potter movies, and someone has a wand and then electricity comes out of that wand. This is what we're looking at. This is the multiplication of power. This is what made Goliath so honorary. This is what made him feel like he was undefeatable. It wasn't just that he had weaponry that could withstand a blow from another strong man wielding a weapon. It was that too. But it was the fact that if he hit him with that weapon, the brunt of the hit with whatever weaponry that someone were to utilize to hit him with, say for instance, he's waging war with another man with a sword. If that other man hits him with that sword, it's just like touching an electrical circuit. You get electrocuted. This is why he's walking and he's talking in the way he is, because he understands the technology that he is wearing. And there was none amongst the house of Israel that had such technology. God forbade it. They knew this. They knew the business of Israel more than Israel. When we look at what Goliath is saying, and he's taunting them, in verse 8, he said, he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, why are ye come out to set battle in array? Why would he say that? He said, why would you even waste your time to set up ranks of men in array as if we're going to go man to man? You can't wage war with me man to man. Because when one of you strikes me, you are defeated. You're electrocuted. This is why he says it. And then he goes further. Am not I a Philistine? And ye servants to Saul. He's saying this because he knows what God told them. Since you want a king so bad, I'm going to give you a king. And you're going to serve him. And you're going to put all your wives in his confectionaries, and they're going to be bakers, and all of you are going to be servants to him, and you're going to give him all your money, and you're going to give him all this and all that. The Philistine, Goliath, is taunting them because he knows, just like they know, the error in their ways. Yet David comes forth and he hears of this. And he tells the brethren, I can do this. I know my limitations in interacting with Goliath. I've seen this type of weaponry before. Goliath wasn't the only one that had it. You can look all throughout museums. You see all these knights with this armor. This was an unspoken technology. This was going on. They were wielding the free energy through the sword as an electrical conduit, charging their bodies by way of being covered completely with this bronze iron metal. They would charge themselves, and then they would go about waging war, fully charged, so that if anyone struck them hand to hand, they wouldn't have to lift a finger against them. They're automatically zapped. But David says, friend, I got an answer for you. I don't know nothing about no sword. I don't know nothing about none of this. But I do know these stones, friend. These stones, friend. Friend, these stones. I got these stones, friend. I got these stones. I'm real active with these stones. And Saul comes and Saul says, you haven't proven yourself. You're too young. And David says to Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear to steal from my house. And me by myself, I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. I took it out of his mouth. Friend, David came and said, I took food out of a lion's mouth. You know what type of wrestle that was? A man coming upon a wild lion in the field and taking a lamb out of his mouth. Listen. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. saved the lion alive. It wasn't like he waited till the lion killed the animal and did it. He took it out of his mouth before it could even kill it. David is saying, the same God, friend, that was with me and that gave me the power to do that is the same God that will give me the insight in whatever direction I needed to lay this giant down. He gonna lay down, friend. I'm gonna lay him down. This is David. Saul says, go get you the same thing Goliath got going on. David said, no, I don't know nothing about that. That's some stuff you've adopted and brought into this kingdom. I don't know nothing about that. But I know these stones. David would defeat Goliath. David will go in that day from having on his life resume his ability to overcome the natural forces of this world, the natural champions, those that God put in rank within physical hierarchies in this world, lions and bears, to defeating the technological advancements of men. On that day, David will graduate from one challenge to a whole new set of challenges. He would go from defeating lions and bears. He would have the recipe to do that. He would have done that already. It wasn't like he defeated one lion. He defeated lions and bears. He walks the field confident. He knows he can. Can what? He can whatever. There's nothing in that field that's going to come and surprise David. He knows how to maneuver in the jungle. He knows how to maneuver amongst the sheep. He's mastered that. And what does God do? God sets before him another challenge and says, now I need you to rise to this next level of knowing. And that's how it is in life. That's how it is. David will go from mastering the physical environment in the form of animals to mastering and dominating in spirit amongst men in one day. And the catalyst for all of this would be his introduction through Goliath. He would face an old opponent that Israel always had problems with. And this opponent was always adopting new avenues that kept them agile in their attempt to dominate nations. The Philistines were on the cutting edge of anything new that gave them the opportunity to dominate in war. They didn't have the hang-ups that Israel had. Their God didn't care how they did it. Just get it done. And that's what they would do. Yet Israel's walk was completely different. The Hebrews, let me just say that, their walk is completely different. They have a very stringent walk. They can't do it how everybody else does it. They've got to walk the line and still be able to produce and dominate, forging a more formidable group of people in the process. And this is what makes the David and Goliath story so monumental, is the fact that David slew Goliath with the natural forces that were within his reach. He didn't slay Goliath with some exotic recipe. He didn't slay Goliath with some imaginative artifact. He slew Goliath with the power of God and him standing in the fullness of his creation. And with those two things, David would be able to slay the Goliaths of the world, and he would be able to dominate and not just hold space, but to take up space. I was talking to someone today who made a statement of taking up space about some frivolous thing. But to truly take up space is to lead with substance, y'all. You dominate when you lead with substance. You truly take up space, stable space, not touch and go types of activity, but stable through and through, line by line types of activity. And this is what David would do. And it would all be through his introduction of defeating the champion, the most technologically advanced champion of the time. You see, what David would do in defeating Goliath would unlock an avenue for others to know how to do so as well. This slingshot that David would use to knock Goliath down, others would implement. They were being dominated by this giant or these types of giants, even physical men, because they were looking to wage war with them in traditional ways using untraditional devices. You go toe to toe with Goliath with the sword. As soon as you touch Goliath, you're zapped, you're out. But you get at Goliath from a distance with a rock. That rock is zapped. Goliath is laying down, friend. This is my word for you today. And they're shedding new light on the David and Goliath story that I don't really hear anybody talking about. But they're just as relevant and truthful as what we see being literally spelled out in the Bible. The Bible is spelling out everything that I'm telling you. It's just not saying it verbatim. It's painting a picture. Coat of mail, helmet of brass, weaver's beam, man that goes before him with the shield. All of these things are spelling out exactly what I'm telling you. Bible study time. You're loved more than you'll ever know. I'll never stop telling you. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.